red in that beard, too. I like it.
There's some white in there, too.
Whoa, all right. Red and white. That'll happen. See, when you can't grow a beard on TV, you don't know what it's going to look like. You know, maybe a vacation, even just a week growing it out, is not the same as, you know, a couple months here. So. Welcome to the WCIA 3-in-1 podcast. A familiar face back in the studio today. Well, kind of. If you're watching us, Craig Choate with a beard. Is it itchy? How you doing? Welcome back.
Thank you. It's good to be back. I've got past the itchy stage of the beard for a couple weeks. I actually myself touched a razor for the first time this morning. I trimmed it.
Wow. Was just for the podcast?
Just for the podcast.
Look at this production quality.
I got my hair cut last week for the first time since January. And with the haircut, I had him shape up the beard a little bit.
Okay.
And I just went along with his lines. So I haven't fully shaved since May 8th, the day before my last day.
All right.
And it has been glorious.
The post-TV life for Craig Choate. Give us a sense of what you're doing now and how you're enjoying life after TV.
Yeah, I kind of kept it under wraps where I was going, but it's really not that big of a deal. I'm working at the U of I at the Geese College of Business doing some marketing for them, and it's been nice to get away from the hectic life that is sports and news for a little bit. It's helped that there's nothing really going on with the sports world, so I haven't missed any games or like training camps or any of the important stuff, but it's been nice to slow down and spend some more time and get some weekends with family and friends and do some what I can with all the COVID stuff going on.
All right. A little red in that beard, too. I like it.
There's some white in there, too.
Whoa, all right. Red and white. That'll happen. See, when you can't grow a beard on TV, you don't know what it's going to look like. You know, maybe a vacation, even just a week growing it out, is not the same as, you know, a couple months here. So,
yeah.
Well, Marlee's on vacation. She's in Florida. We hope to get her back at some point. Maybe.
Yeah.
COVID-free. We'll see, Marlee. But we're happy to have Craig in studio today. We're going to talk about quite a bit here, what seems to always catch up by the end of the week. Illinois moves into Phase 4 today of Governor Pritzker's Restore Illinois plan. What that means for sports, especially for U of I sports, as we think about football first and foremost, but then men's basketball too, because I don't think it's too early to start talking about men's basketball. Of course, that's what everyone wants to talk about, and Brandon Lieb committing yesterday to the Illini. We'll chat about that as well. The IHSA return of Phase 4. They're still waiting. Are we going to get high school football back? I think that's front and foremost for everyone on their mind. And then I want to get Craig's thoughts on Major League Baseball, too, because it comes to a deal this week with the Players Union, and nobody loves baseball more than Craig, maybe other than his current coworker now, Aaron Bennett, playing fantasy baseball. Are you more excited to get baseball back or fantasy baseball back?
Well, I am in a fantasy baseball league with Aaron Bennett, and that one is postponed. You're not doing anything. We're not doing a fantasy baseball league.
Breaking news.
With Bennett. I am also in one with my buddies, and we just decided yesterday it's a keeper league, but we're going to put that on hold, and we're just going to do a one-season thing with us. No keepers, no trades, like nothing like that. So there will be a little fantasy baseball for me this year, but not as much, and it's going to be kind of nice because, as Bret knows, that takes over my whole summer.
It's crazy. That's why I don't play fantasy baseball. It's not that I don't like fantasy baseball or anything, or baseball in general, but it just takes so much time.
It's every day.
You've got to check it, right? Yeah. And I'm not in that kind of time frame with 3 kids at home and everything else. So
I love it.
That's good. All right, let's jump right in here. Let's talk Phase 4 Illinois today with Governor Pritzker's Restore Illinois plan. And for me, it's another step forward. While some states across the country are taking a step back today, what I read 9,000 positive tests in Florida. I'm hoping Marlee's not one of them, that she can come back, be on the podcast next week. She hadn't been home in a long time, so she wanted to take an opportunity to get home, and I encourage that. Hopefully she's laying on a beach somewhere right now as we tape here on Friday at 2:46 on June 26th. But overall, this allows restaurants to open back up, inside seating. We talked a lot, Craig, when you were on the podcast here in April and May about how this was going to affect everything, how you would feel about all of this. And I'm curious today, does this change anything? Are you at a mind today where the governor says, okay, well, now this is all acceptable. Are you going to go do those things?
For me, I mean, I'm still worried. I know our numbers in this state in Illinois have been really good, and that's probably because Pritzker was so strict in the first 3 months with it. But me personally, I'm still worried. We're not past this. It's great for the businesses. I'm happy that they're starting to get some income and be able to get some patrons in there and all that stuff. But I feel like some of the country's acting like this is over, and it's not near over, and some places it's getting worse.
Yeah, and I think that's going to be expected, right? And just relating it back to sports, with the NBA players testing positive, Major League Baseball players testing positive, golfers on the PGA Tour testing positive. This Muhammad outbreak that we saw at the prom thing, the unofficial prom, like all of these things are going to happen, right? In my eyes, we're going to see tests that are going to come back positive. One, we're testing more. But two, when people start getting back together, this is going to spread. So for me, I really enjoyed what Jay Monahan said for the PGA Tour commissioner this week. He just said, look, we can't let this stop us from what we're doing. Yeah. We're going to follow our protocols. We're going to continue to do what we do, and that's play golf tournaments until these numbers get so big where I just think you have to shut it down. But are we going to see a Rudy Gobert effect here again on March 11th where, they just cancel everything? One test cancels everything. I mean, I don't think we can live in that world where it's like, okay, well, one test, we're done. That's it. I mean, you'll never restart your life again, period. But it's also this balance, and I was talking with Kevin Leidy, our chief meteorologist, the other day. Like, where is that balance? And I think everyone's got their own feelings about that, right? One's not right, wrong, or indifferent, maybe other than that lady in Florida who was on Twitter yesterday going crazy about telling all those people or whatnot. Yeah. That's a different story for a different day. But, everyone has to make that assumption for themselves, right? That's kind of how I feel. I'm not going to tell you how to feel. You shouldn't tell me how to feel. Right. But you get that sense if you do go outside without a mask on, you get those judgment feels or whatever else, people looking at you. Do I really want to wear a mask? Is it safe to go outside without it? I don't know. I don't have all these answers. Right. But I do know that we can't live in this world where we're just in fear all the time, or one positive test should cause us to freak out.
Right. You can't live scared, especially when we've been in quarantine or semi-quarantine since March. I mean, the country can't be shut down for that long, so we need to start to get out from it. And neither of us are scientists, but those that are saying that masks are important. Yeah, and that's the main way that this is spreading. So, if you have a mask on and the people around you have a mask on, you should feel a little more comfortable. But it's nice to see us getting somewhat back to normal. I just think we're going to have to live with those positive tests as they come and until, and hopefully they don't, spike again like they had a couple months ago.
And even in sports, right? I mean, okay, the NBA has its bubble, right? And our Tim Sinclair, we showed you this week, is going to go down there. It's really cool. I completely expect in that bubble to there be positive tests. With the PGA Tour, what was it? Brooks Koepka's caddy went to a funeral in Florida, came back with the virus. That's what it was. Just a quick little trip. You're around other people at a funeral of all places, and you want to pay respects to the dead. But that's what ended up costing, Brooks Koepka and his brother, who had qualified for the tournament on a Monday qualifier, which is great in itself. Would have been cool to see the two brothers in the tournament, but it's like those types of things. Are those people going to follow the protocol? Are you going to be able to stay in your bubble? I have a hard time believing, and I was joking with Tim about this earlier this week, that all those NBA players are going to, quote, stay in the bubble. Where does Major League Baseball come back, and what kind of, they can't have a bubble with baseball, right?
Yeah.
With all these teams,
they're playing at their own stadiums, right?
Right.
Yeah.
But that's not a bubble. Maybe the postseason you can have some bubble if there's, what was there going to be, 16 teams in the postseason. Nothing's changed, right? So I think it's 16.
I didn't even look at the proposal, to be honest.
12 or 16. Look at Craig. He's not in sports. And I'm like, whatever. I don't like that on Twitter. I don't have to read it. I'm somewhat jealous of that. But nothing's going to change out of that. So can you take all those teams and put them in a bubble? Even if they are in a bubble, is anything really going to change? There's still going to be positive tests. How do you move forward after that? In my eyes, it's like, hey, let's not freak out about a positive test. Let's just accept it for what it is. Put those people in quarantine. You hope that contact tracing and all of that helps. I don't know. I don't have all the answers, but I do know that sports are never going to return in the next foreseeable future if one test shuts it down. Yeah. Right? That's why I just appreciated Commissioner Monahan's statements earlier this week about, hey, look, we're going to proceed here. We can't just stop shutting everything down or freaking out after one positive test or four positive tests like they had. Right. I don't know. I don't have all the answers here, but just things that, we think about that. Look, for sports' sake, and look, it's bigger than sports, right? Yeah. I mean, I think that's what we all know. That doesn't mean that we don't want sports back any less, though. Right. That's kind of how I view it, especially with baseball. And, we'll talk about that coming up here. All right, let's talk about the future of football, though, especially at Illinois, because this Phase 4 that Governor Pritzker enacts today, allows there to be fans for college and pro sports in the state of Illinois. That means Illinois football and Memorial Stadium can host 20% of fans, which is about a little more than 12,000. 12,134 was the number I came up with. And I'm not exactly sure here if this includes the suites or just all season tickets like in the bowl. Are the suites separate? I'm not sure. The total number would be 12,134 for Memorial Stadium at 20% capacity. But like I said, I don't know if those suites count for that.
Because they're kind of by themselves.
Yeah, like you have a separate entrance. I'm not sure how that works. You know what I mean? Like you're away from the general fan. You're inside too. I know, is that a different, right? And I hadn't really thought about that before, but you're in a confined space there in the suites. Is that going to be different in that sense? I did read in Pritzker's proposal, which was pretty long, by the way, for sports. It was like 6 pages long of things outlined in there, including no tailgating, which was the biggest story for me because so many people love to go to Memorial Stadium to tailgate. So you're not going to be able to do that as of right now. But in the suite literature in there, it did say that you still have to maintain social distancing within that suite. So we've only been in the suites a few times. I think we've taped some things in there over the years, but it's not like I've been to a game in the suites. I'm not the brass here at WCIA. They get those tickets, or Lighty getting those from the higher ups here or whatnot. He always likes to rub that in our face that we're working and he's in the suite. But can they have people in those suites and still be socially distanced? I don't know. I'm not really in a position to say that. But season ticket holder here, Craig Choate, for Illinois football games. Now he can't get in free. He's got to pay for his tickets. No media meal, all this kind of stuff. I don't know if I can get you a pass, maybe let you back in the press box. You might be out of there, though, pretty quick.
I'll take the photog tent under the horse.
Yeah, right? You get a hot dog now? You'll be ready for those? You don't have to pay for anything. So, you get that media life that you get paid to be there and you get free food. So, poor Craig here has to go out and buy his own season tickets now. But you obviously bought season tickets, so you feel good about going to a game, I would assume.
Yeah. If the right protocols are in place, I would have no problem sitting in Memorial Stadium if it's me and my party, whoever's with me, and then 6 feet away are other people. I mean, I would have no problem. I went ahead and bought the tickets and got the emails, the questionnaires, and kind of laying out my options, and we'll see what happens. Because seating is going to have to change. You're not going to be able to sit in your season tickets that you wanted because likely someone was sitting right next to you. So yeah.
What did you take away from that questionnaire, like things that they were asking? Because there's a big picture in it all, right? I mean, was there a question about tailgating in there?
Yes, I think there was some tailgating questions. It was like 5 pages. They covered everything. There was a lot of questions, and they had I think I saw Cassie Arner put that together with U of I, and she did a really good job laying it out of kind of you kind of got a sense of what they were thinking and what they're trying to do and seeing if they can do. So it was really well put together. It was just asking everyone's comfortability of attending if it was socially distanced or if they're not attending no matter what because they're so scared of this virus, or maybe not scared, but
I think people are scared of it.
Yeah.
Especially the older crowd, right? Yeah. And think how many season ticket holders, especially for basketball, are 55 and over.
Yeah.
I would say a lot, and those are the primary concern age groups of the coronavirus, right?
Yep.
So I don't know. I think it's good from U of I standpoint. I would love to see those results, which they're not going to share, obviously. But I would love to get a sense of how Illini Nation is reacting to that. I think you're going to have two extremes, right? Yep. And then you're going to have people in the middle, which kind of sounds like how you are, in the middle. If they had no regulations at all, I think would that change some people? Because I saw this week, Alabama, I think it was, he's planning on having 50+ thousand at Bryant-Denny Stadium.
That's a lot, yeah.
That seems like a lot of people.
Holds 115,000.
I don't know if they're 100.
Are they? I don't know.
No, I think they're closer to like 80. I'm not sure. Let me look that up here.
Okay.
But, still 50,000 people together is a lot of people. I don't know if you can be socially distanced. I guess if you're at, Michigan Stadium, that's 100,000. We both went on that trip, and that's just a bowl, so maybe you could spread it out a little bit more. But that would be 50% capacity. Illinois is only 20% capacity.
Right.
So, I don't know. Especially in Illinois, that's certainly not going to happen. They can only get 12,000 there.
If they stick to that 20%, and but without any social distancing rules, I would still go, but I would find a spot by myself, Sure. Like I wouldn't be told, all right, this is where you're sitting, this is where you can only sit. if there's no rules, I would still go, and I would just sit very top row or away from wherever people were.
They do. Bryant-Denny has 101,821.
Okay. So about half.
Yeah, you were right. But that's still half.
Yeah.
Would you feel comfortable if Memorial Stadium had half? Because it holds 60,000 or thereabouts. I mean,
about half the people there.
Well, that's true. They only get about half the people. I was shocked this week, Craig, when I went back and looked at the attendance numbers and studied it a little bit more.
Yeah.
So less than 37,000 in back-to-back years hasn't happened since World War II.
It's crazy.
I mean, there was some really good numbers there, even when the teams were bad back in the middle 2000s there. And then that spiked, after 2007 season. So 2008, they were at 60, almost 65,000+ was your average attendance for home games.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, think how much revenue that generates.
Yeah.
That was my first thought. It's just the revenue piece of how much Illinois is missing out here on season tickets for football or tickets just in general. I mean, that's a ton of money if you're only drawing 37,000 on average.
I mean, could it be worse timing too? Coming off a bowl game,
Oh, man,
getting a little bit of momentum, and now you're not going to be able to. I mean, attendance probably would have gone up, right?
You would have
COVID
to think,
hadn't happened,
right? Especially if they're going to start 3-0. Now I realize we said that last year, right? And that didn't work out. Thanks to Eastern Michigan, right? And thanks to Illinois for playing terrible.
Yeah.
But if they don't go 3-0 this year, Craig.
If they play the non-conference games.
Well, that's another question, too. If they even play those non-conference games. I mean, I don't know what our over-under would be right now for non-con games. I'd probably lean 60-40
to play them.
To play at this point, but I think that could shift really easily the other way, maybe even more here as we find out. I've heard on the Dan Patrick Show multiple times here the last month where, his sources have been telling him that, hey, look, they're just going to be conference only in the Pac-12 and Big Ten. And, hey, look, that would make sense. My question would be in that as we get off topic here, right? But that's okay. Do you move those non-conference games up? Or do you move the conference games up to where the non-conference would be, like to start the season sooner? That would make the most sense to me. Mm-hmm. Or do you start later? I think we've seen, and the U of I hasn't come out with this yet in its model, unless Scoops here wants to give us some info, about starting earlier or on time, but then getting out after the Thanksgiving break, right? We've seen a lot of other schools come out and say that that's what they're going to do. So after Thanksgiving break, the kids aren't coming back on campus.
Yeah.
They might not even come back until after February, or like into February before the students come back, maybe an online learning for the first couple, 3 or 4 weeks, during the peak flu season here to where you're eliminating kids on campus. And I think that makes a ton of sense. But could you move the Big Ten season up, which is usually starts the last weekend in September or thereabouts, would be your first Big Ten game. Yes. And I think this year it's at Rutgers. It's the first weekend in October, actually, at Rutgers. That's the first non-conference game, or first conference game, for Illinois. Could you just move that up a month and get the season done?
Yeah.
I mean, that would make sense to me.
Yeah. If everything's going well, move that up. Maybe, it would be tough scheduling wise to move the non-conference to the end of the schedule, like flip-flop them. That would probably be tough.
But I think that would be tougher. When do you put your conference title games in there? I think that's the question.
Right.
Like, could we see conference title games before Thanksgiving even? Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think that you would take an all buy-in effect from that. I'm not convinced there's going to be bowl games at this point. You know what I mean?
True.
If you got how many? And heck, what is there, like 30 bowl games or something stupid? I mean, it's ridiculous this year. They added even more.
Yeah.
There's probably there's got to be more than 30.
Has to be.
Because what was there, 65 teams that played in a bowl game last year or whatever? I guess that'd be about 30.
That'd be 31, 32. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy.
There's too many. There's way too many.
Or could we just eliminate some of those bowls? Could you just see maybe the cutoff if you only played conference games? Let's say they played 10 games this year, or it would be 9 games, 9 or 10 games. The cutoff being 5 or 6 wins for a bowl, maybe keeping the same, and then all those other bowl games are eliminated. I don't know. We're just speculating here.
Right. There's so many questions still about. At this point, I just kind of want it to happen and just get games here and let it and just go. Like, I don't even care if there's no postseason. Just play some live sports.
Oh, I don't think they care necessarily if the bowls go away. I think they'll do everything they can to keep the college football playoff.
Oh, yeah.
Because that's so much money invested in there. The question will be...
You can do that at the same stadium. You can.
Yeah, you could isolate those and put those players in 4 teams in a bubble. The question becomes, how is it fair if, Alabama plays 11 games, but, let's just say USC plays 8 or something? How do you pick, right? Like, how does the selection committee pick those 4 teams? I don't know. I mean, there's so many things that are still yet to be seen. I'm with you, though, 100%. Let's just get to some games.
Yeah.
I mean, let's just play something,
Yeah.
right? And that's where I'm at with baseball here this week, finally just coming together. And, for me, it's a missed opportunity. Like, if they could have been starting next week, they could have had a full month. Because there's still, Craig, in all of this, going to be the first team sport, like Big Four team sport to come back, right? Because the NBA is not till July 31.
Yeah, their first games are like the 9th. July 9th?
For MLB?
Yeah.
July 23rd or 24th.
Oh, 23rd, okay.
But that's still going to be a week.
Them and NBA are both, like, close to the same time. Yeah.
But the NBA came out with its model a month ahead of time, right? Like I just think of baseball in that sense, and I'm thinking, I mean, heck, you could have been playing a full month, ahead of time. Yeah. I don't know. I feel I just kind of didn't care at that point.
I was almost to the point when MLB announced that they were coming back. I was almost to the point where I was like, who cares? Right.
I just, whatever. Like, can we not come to a deal?
It's going to be so, I'm almost over baseball right now. Like, just give me the 2021 full season, hopefully. And, like, I don't even care about 2020 baseball, honestly.
Well, is there going to be a full 2021 season?
Exactly.
That's my question there, because the labor dispute, their contract's up after next year. I could see them possibly holding out once again. And I don't know. All right, back to football here in Illinois. Yeah. And even basketball, because like I mentioned at the top of the show here, I'm not convinced that we're going to be able to play basketball indoors, because Governor Pritzker's Phase 5 doesn't happen until there's herd immunity or a vaccine, or the numbers are almost completely wiped out, which our numbers in the state have gone down considerably here. But let's be real, I don't see Phase 5 coming anytime this year, probably into next year. And moving indoors brings a whole bunch of different problems in there. So would you feel comfortable going inside to a basketball game? Would I feel comfortable as a media member going in and covering these teams and, being around these players? I just think yes, you're playing football, and that's one thing, and you're, tackling and all of that, but you still have a face mask on. I just feel like football is a little bit different than basketball in that sense. How do you feel?
Basketball, maybe if there's like one person per section. Like, I have a section to myself. But I don't know.
As a fan now, or as a person just going in the stands, does that feel different walking into State Farm Center as it would be Memorial Stadium?
Yeah, I honestly don't know that I would go to a basketball game, to be honest. I hadn't really thought about it yet. I've been stuck on the football and baseball, but yeah, it would be different.
Because even baseball, you're outside. Like, you could socially distance. For me, the biggest thing is just being outside. I feel like if you're wearing a mask, you're outside. You got air, you got breeze, you got wind. Maybe it's not any different. I don't know from a medical perspective. But for me, being inside just feels a lot different.
Yeah, I could definitely see basketball happening, but without fans for the first, maybe this whole season. Yeah, probably, because the first game's early November.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking November 4th or 5th for the first game. Practices start into September, early October.
Yeah, I mean, if you have just the two teams and their medical staffs or whatever, I think they could probably play, don't you think?
I don't know.
That's less than 50 people, right?
Yeah, basketball you could definitely do with less than 50 people. Now, college coaches, there's different staffs, but the college and pro rule does not apply to outdoor in Pritzker's plan. Indoor, we don't know yet. Indoor has not been cleared.
They haven't talked about that.
Correct. But outdoor, there's no 50-person limit, which is why they can do it in Memorial Stadium or whatever else. This leads to my question, and I think we're going to see this at some point, but does Pritzker in, say, September come out with a Phase 4.5? Yeah. Because we're not going to get to 5 before what? I don't know, next summer? Yeah. I mean, when's a vaccine going to be widely available and distributed? Would you even get the vaccine, XYZ out of that? I don't see that happening for a long time. But could we get to a 4.5?
I did see Fauci say, I think it was earlier this week, that there is a vaccine that is going to, like, the next phase that they think they could have by, like, late this year or early next year. Yeah. But what's the likelihood that the first vaccine that gets there is effective? We don't know. They might have to find plan B, C, D, E before. So that gives a little hope, I think, that Fauci thinks that a vaccine is getting close. But what's the likelihood that it's going to take effect that first try? Right.
And where we're at a point where the government says, this is good, we can move into Phase 5, where essentially everything's back to normal like it was before.
Right.
That's where I
feel
just
like
don't see
Phase
that
4 to
happening.
5 is such a huge step. Yeah. Like, from the get-go, I felt that. Phase 5, everything's back to normal. Like,
Yeah, I just don't see that,
Doesn't
right?
make sense.
I mean, that's where I think you got to have some middle ground in there,
Yeah.
to appease people because, okay, it's great we're indoors now at, 50% capacity or whatever that number is, but, like, at the end of the day, people are going to want more, right, and want more, and, like, you just keep asking for more to get back to normal and whatever that may be. Yeah. Speaking of basketball, they pick up Brandon Lieb yesterday on Thursday, 7-foot center out of Deerfield. For me, I saw a lot of people on Twitter just asking, well, what's this mean for Kofi?
Yeah.
Like, okay, this doesn't mean anything for Kofi in my eyes, right? If you can get a 7-footer late add, which is what he is. I think of Jermaine Hamlin last year. They're just adding more size, which I think is hilarious because Underwood told us on multiple occasions that size doesn't matter on his team. And then when he finally gets some size,
he wants more.
He wants more. Size matters. Of course it does. Like, you want guys that are tall on your team. You want guys that are skilled and can shoot outside. And it looks like Lieb can do that a little bit. But look, they have a scholarship open right now. They could potentially have 2 more. Now, Kofi's working out on campus. I saw him running yesterday with DeMonte Williams on Instagram. He's coming back, right? I mean, I don't know why he's delaying this. Let's just say it, right? I fully expect Kofi to be back.
Do you think NBA will have workouts? Do you think he's holding out to get a workout?
I think there's got to be something because they're planning to have the withdrawal date. I don't think they've announced the combine yet.
No, I haven't seen any combine.
But they did.
Withdrawal date's coming like a month. Like 5 weeks?
It was like August
13th.
13th, I think it is. So you got a little bit of time there. Maybe they could do workouts. I think it's going to depend on where you're at in the country. Yeah. Maybe they could have some sort of like if there's no combine, okay, let's say that. Could they get a testing in place where they bring in 50 players or something like that, or let's even say 100 players. I don't know how many players are invited to the combine.
I don't know.
But it's not everybody, and with Kofi not being on any draft boards right now, I don't think he'd even get an invite to that.
I saw one that someone had him prospect 100. Okay. Iowa was like 51. Sure. Kofi was exactly 100, and 60 players get drafted.
Right. So you're on the outside looking in either way. Yeah. Would Iowa even get drafted or even get invited to the combine? I've thought about that before, where it's like, okay, maybe he can get a private workout, but the combine, in my eyes, is where it's at because that's where you want to see the interaction. Yeah. And the difference there is, you've got these teams still finishing up their regular season. Mm-hmm. Usually the combine, there's more than half the teams are already done with their season because the combine's in late May. Well, now all these teams are still working out. Where's the front office execs? Are they in the bubble? Are they not? I think you just got a lot of things to work with there.
Yeah.
And for Iowa, I feel terrible like we have in this whole situation because it's a terrible timing. I mean, it's that Illinois thing in my eyes, right? Of course, Illinois football gets its best team in a decade on paper, and then this happens. Of course, Illinois basketball has its best team in, 8 years since 2012-13, I guess you could say, right? I think this team was better than 12-13. So let's just say a decade plus for Illinois basketball too, right? Getting back to the tournament for the first time since 2013. And then, of course, the virus hits, the once-in-a-100-year pandemic, right? It's just like that's so Illinois in so many senses. And I feel that with Io too, that you feel bad for the kid. But what was your takeaway from a late edition here? Just, hey, okay, let's get some player with a size. Maybe he redshirts, maybe he doesn't. Although we haven't really seen Underwood redshirt many players. Right. We've seen the transfer sit out, and I think he's a fan of that. Mm-hmm. But in my eyes, is he even redshirted a guy? I don't think he has. The last redshirt guy I can really think of off the top of my head was Michael Finke.
Yeah, I don't think anyone's been redshirted since I've been here, and I got here in 2015.
Where, like, you can just sit out, because you're not ready yet. Your body's not developed. Finke, I haven't really thought about that until now, but, like.
Hamlin should have.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. But they didn't have any other options. I mean, Hamlin played mop-up duty there, or when Kofi was hurt, he came in a few times in the first half. Yeah. And it's nothing against Jermaine. He just is not ready for that level yet.
Yeah, I think Lieb should redshirt and become best friends with Adam Fletcher.
Yeah, right.
But I like it. I mean, I watched, before I came in here today, I found a game of his on YouTube. I didn't see any outside shots. I watched about a quarter and a half. But he had like 8 points. He had some good touch around the rim. He's just tall and lanky. I mean, he's a guy that, honestly, Illinois hasn't had a long time. Mike Tisdale? He kind of looks like Mike
Yeah.
Tisdale a little bit.
Sure, and that's fine. You want
Yeah.
those kind of players.
What was
right?
it? 10,000 calorie a day.
Yeah, right. His
Diet.
diet.
Everyone made a huge deal about.
Yeah, exactly. And he still couldn't gain weight.
Yeah. So like 7 foot 205.
Yeah,
for
he
league?
told me he's about 210, 215.
Okay.
I chatted with him yesterday. Let's
Yeah.
play a little bit of that clip here from Brandon yesterday. We caught up for on the phone about 5 minutes. Here's a portion of our conversation. Did you grow up an Illini fan or like following the team?
No, yeah, I did. Obviously, just being in state, I had, I don't know if I mentioned to him, my uncle actually went to Illinois. He graduated, must have been, I think not, late 80s. But, yeah, it was kind of instilled in me at a young age. I just always followed them. We get the Big Ten Network here, so I watch all the games when I can. It was really cool for me. I always imagined myself out there and, at least playing at that level. And then, who knew it would be that actual school. But it was just kind of surreal to me. And it all happened. So.
What have these last 2 weeks been like? Because Oklahoma, I saw, offered you 2 weeks ago today, and all of a sudden here you are committed with 5 high major offers.
Yeah, no, it's been crazy. I think I'm just so grateful, for all the opportunities I'm getting. All the schools I had, they were all very, great options. I don't think I could have gone wrong with any of them. But again, I just felt really at home, just in such a short amount of time with Illinois and, their staff. And I got on a Zoom with them and was able to, sort of get a feel. And they're actually, of all campuses, I couldn't really take any visits. I've actually been out there, for a couple weekends. Last summer, we were there for an Illinois team camp, and then I was back for the NCAA camp too. So, I'm a little familiar with kind of, the scene over there. And yeah, it's just been huge, for my confidence, just staying patient, staying with it. And I knew my time would come. So
did you even worry at all, what your future was going to hold here? I read somewhere, I think you talked to Derek, my other guy, Derek Piper, that, you were considering prep school. How uncertain were you here at the end of June, Brandon, of what your future was going to hold?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I verbally announced end of April that I was going to do a year of prep school and reclassify to 21. Just, at that point I had, I had some options, but, I thought for myself and for my family academically and basketball-wise, I wanted to do a little better. But, after the past month or so, a bunch of schools came in and sort of, they really, it was just kind of out of nowhere, but, it was really cool to see. And again, it was just huge for my confidence. But yeah, it was at that point, a couple of weeks in, I thought I was more leaning towards 20. If I had the opportunity to go to a program, be in the strength, conditioning, nutrition, all that, with the team, I think it would be, more valuable than a year of prep, even though I would have had a little bit more time to think about it. But especially with Illinois, it was no thought. I didn't even hesitate with them.
That's awesome. Give us a sense of your game for people that haven't seen you play. What type of player are you?
Yeah, sure. A bunch of coaches have been just in the past 2 days. They call me stretch 5. So I like to. I'm a 7-footer, but I like to play inside and out. My jump shot is just from junior to senior of high school something I really worked on a lot. To be able to stretch the floor, I shot about 40% from 3 and 65% from the field. So I something I worked on a lot. I had improved, and I want to be even more consistent with it. So I'm mobile. I still like playing inside. I think I got good touch with both hands inside. I love being a rim protector and blocking shots, just using my length around the hoop. And obviously, for me, there's obviously some stuff I need to improve. I think strength, putting on some weight is going to help me a lot in different areas. At the same time, I think ball handling, being a big guy who wants to play inside out, be able to put it on the deck and kind of get to the hoop, and passing, all that ability. I think it's a lot to work with. But definitely for a 7-footer, I'm not really banging down low. I like being more up and down, a little more fluid.
All right, I thought he was really well spoken, Craig, just to come in, and he's grateful for his opportunity because was a prep school guy, and he said in April he made up his mind he was going to go to prep school. Then these flurry of offers start coming in. 2 weeks ago yesterday, he got his first high major offer from Oklahoma, then Oklahoma State, then DePaul, then Utah, and then Illinois. And that Illinois offer popped on Tuesday. He makes up his mind 48 hours later on Thursday. Look, he said this was his dream school. This is where he wanted to go all along. He grew up watching games. there's a different level in the Big Ten in my eyes, of going to Illinois in your home state, not being that far from home, than going to all those other schools that he just listed.
Yeah, for sure. And I've kind of fallen into this mold of, and I don't know what it says about me or how I evaluate things, of look at who else has offered. Like, if Illinois offers a kid that has offers from mid-majors and he goes to Illinois, I'm like, well, there's a reason that Power Fives have
absolutely.
offered. So the fact that he's got these back-to-back offers makes me think he's a late bloomer that people really wanted. So to get him, in-state kid, always good to get the in-state kid. So people saw something in him, and I don't think you're going to see a lot of him in the first year and a half, 2.5 years, but by a junior or senior year, he could be a contributor to the post after Kofi leaves.
And I think that's the biggest thing right here for me. Everyone said, well, what's this mean for Kofi? It doesn't mean anything. It just means they're adding more depth to the front court, which they need. And I think their biggest need's still a 4.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, they've recruited guards really, really well here.
Yeah.
But they haven't recruited a 4 where you're really excited about it yet.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, where you would feel like, hey, man, that's a difference maker at the 4.
Yeah.
But
I mean, it's Georgie's prototypical 4. He just had such a down year last year.
Yeah, but he couldn't do anything.
I
mean, it was painful to watch.
If you get freshman Georgie, I think your 4 spot is locked up.
Sure, but I don't see that.
You think that was an outlier?
Around.
You think?
Well, I just think he's more comfortable
Georgie
at the 5. I think he's more comfortable back to the basket, being a 5, using his footwork and being faster and quicker than the other 5s. Yeah, he may not be quite as big, but I think he can use his explosiveness and his touch around the basket in a different way. And then, he just struggled to mesh with Kofi, because Kofi demanded so much attention, right? Both defensively and offensively. And that obviously helped Illinois big time, right? I mean, Illinois wouldn't have been half the team it was last year without Kofi.
No.
But how does Georgie mesh with that, I mean, that's going to be really key because they still don't have a 4 that you're super excited about or that's proven. I think Bossman's Verdonk shows you that on paper, like you look at him and you're like, dude, that's a player.
Yeah.
But he got hurt last year, and we still don't know what he can
looks
be.
Huge.
Yeah, he's jacked.
He got so jacked over the summer.
Right?
Well, not off season, I guess.
But can he stay healthy? I mean, I don't know. What's his shot look like? I don't know. I mean,
people were loving him after that exhibition game. Remember, he scored like 8 points in mop up.
Sure.
Like, oh my god. Yeah. It was exhibition, guys.
Hey, Matisse Facile. Okay, wait, no, he didn't. He didn't look all right either. Too far.
What about Grandison? Is he a 4 or is he a 3?
Yeah, I think he's like a 3-4.
Yeah.
I see Grandison and Austin Hutcherson kind of in that same role. They're like 6'6". Yeah.
If Grandison can
6'7".
guard the 4, I think Grandison at 4, Kofi at 5, and then throw 3 guards out, and you got a pretty good lineup.
Yeah, can they defend? I think that's my question, right? They both shot really well at their previous school, but can you defend the 4, right? Well, I always look at it as like the Lamar Stevens factor. That dude has been a pain in Illinois' side for 4 years, and can you find someone that can guard a Lamar Stevens?
DeMonte.
Yeah, right?
Shut him down.
He did. You were at that game.
I wouldn't say shut down. He still scored 11, I think.
Yeah.
11 or 12.
But I remember he was like 3 of 12 from the field or something like that. He really struggled from the field.
That was fun.
Richard Pitino still doesn't know who DeMonte is either. Did you see that video yesterday with DeMonte, the Illinois basketball put out?
That was McCaffrey,
it was Connor McCaffrey.
Yeah. My dad was better than yours.
Yeah, dude, that was pretty great. Yeah. I love that. I gave that a retweet. I thought that was fantastic.
DeMonte doesn't get enough credit.
Where does DeMonte play?
Yeah.
I mean, this is a good problem for Illinois to have, but, like, does DeMonte start next year? He's a senior.
Yeah. Trent has to start.
Who's going to be what's going to be your starting lineup?
I was just going to say that, but I think we're too far out. I don't know. I was going to throw out, does Adam Miller or Andre Curbelo start?
I think Curbelo starts day 1.
You think so?
Yeah. I think you got to put Trent in there somewhere, though. Right. I think Adam Miller's probably the guy out right now. I think he'll be a bench piece, at least early.
Okay. I think Andre is more of a come off the bench kind of guy. I think Miller wants.
Yeah.
I think he's more about the starting role. I think Andre Curbelo is more of an Andres Feliz.
Andres Feliz could come off the beach.
I'll come off and do
bench
whatever.
And no big deal.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know. If I had to say right now, I think Kofi's back at your 5. I think Georgie's still going to start at the 4. What 3-guard combination do you throw out there? And I think Grandison and Hutcherson also provide some interesting depth pieces in there as well. I don't think either of them are going to start, but I think we forget about them a little bit because they, were out last year, sitting out because of their transfer, But where does DeMonte fit in there? I don't know. If you start Carbello at the 1, where does Trent fit in there?
Yeah.
Where does Adam fit in there? Where does DeMonte fit in there, you know?
I think one of the freshmen starts, at least to start the year, I think one of the freshmen starts with Trent and DeMonte. So if you trust Trent on the ball, I think you start Adam. But if you don't trust Trent with the ball getting into the offense, then probably Andre.
What's my odds for Andre Carbello starting day 1? Give me like a plus 140.
We're too early to start talking basketball.
Yeah, I know. All right, IHSA. Look, man, I don't know if your thoughts have changed. You probably haven't thought about it a lot. I have serious concerns here. We're going to play high school football this fall.
Yeah.
As we've moved here, and it's been a couple months since we've talked here, any thoughts have changed on that? I mean, if you had to say right now, do you think they're playing high school football?
I would say likely no, and that's only because I did talk to a high school football coach a couple nights ago, just catching up.
Nice.
And he's like, I don't think we're playing this year. So that's coming from a high school football coach. So I'm going to agree with him because he's more in the know than me. I've been pretty disconnected.
Craig, I'm just having a hard time believing we're going to see high school football this fall, which is really going to suck. I mean, I'm going to feel terrible for these seniors, you know, because, okay, the basketball players and, okay, baseball, softball, I know those are – I'm not taking anything away, but, like, there's something about your senior year of high school football that is just special, you know, and I just have my doubts at this point. And I'm trying to be optimistic in that sense, you know what I mean? I feel like I've been more negative than positive about it, even with coaches that I've talked to. But I think the realistic coaches on the outside look on camera, they're going to say, yeah, of course we're going to be optimistic. You turn the camera off, it's a little bit different story there, you know, because they get it. I mean, there's more important things than high school football and health and keeping fans away and all that kind of stuff. And even if you only you get 2 tickets, one for mom or dad or whoever else you want to invite to the game or whatnot, I just have a hard time believing because there's not going to be any tests. You can't keep these kids in a bubble. You can't test all the kids in the state. There's just not enough to go around. I mean, it doesn't make sense for you to be able to do that. How do you implement all of those things? Even going to school. I mean, I have doubts about how school's going to play out, you know, at this fall. So I don't know. It's disappointing. I hope we're wrong in that sense. I hope they can figure out a way to do it. And then selfishly, from a media standpoint, covering high school football is one of my favorite things, you know. And so
Friday nights are great.
It's going to be different. It's going to be a different feel.
Yeah, it's same feel we had in the spring when baseball got canceled because those seniors, for them, it kind of came out of nowhere.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, if the football season's canceled, I would probably say the majority of the football players are multi-sport athletes, so hopefully they get some kind of sport in this school year, but I don't think anything is like high school football, like you said.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and even if a couple of those guys send up for the golf team or whatever, or, you know, let's say volleyball's canceled. I did think it was interesting that Craig Anderson, when I asked him last week, could you see some sports and not all, and he said yes. That was very interesting to me that he was willing to go ahead with cross country or you name whatever
those
sport,
individual
golf.
sports that you can kind of get away from people.
Sure, yeah.
Like golf's playing now.
Why couldn't you play golf in high school? You know? So even if a kid, you know, was on the football team, wanted to play golf or run cross country, it just has a different feel.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't know. We'll see. I hope we're wrong, but sitting here June 26th today, I just don't necessarily have a great feeling that, you know, we're gonna see high school football or even sports at all. Are we gonna see high schoolers even in school? I don't know. If something breaks out again here. If we get a Florida in that sense in Illinois, I don't know. We'll see. But it's fun, Craig.
Thanks. That's it?
We'll do it again. Are we done?
We're done.
Anything you want to add?
That's your show.
No, it's great. We're 39 minutes in.
Okay.
It's good stuff. Thanks for coming in, Craig. The WCIA 3-in-1 podcast. Marlee might be back next week. I don't know. Hopefully she doesn't have coronavirus. Hopefully she's not one of those 9,000 today.
I bet she's just chilling on the beach.
It's a good life. I texted her last night. She said she was planning on it. So, you know.
Must be nice.
To Marlee, drink in your hand. Hopefully no. Well, maybe it's a Corona. Cheers to that. Cheers to Craig's red beard as well. Thanks for coming in, man. We'll talk to you soon. Next time on the WCIA 3-in-1 podcast.